This is just pure, unadulterated, melt-in-your-mouth happiness. You don't e-explain this.
Hello, you just witnessed a few of the ads that I made with Veo3 using N8N, and honestly, I do think that's a really promising application of artificial intelligence. At least you could create maybe some creative campaigns for your own products as well. But at the moment, the big brands kind of dominate the landscape because they've trained on that data. So let's go over the workflow. All right, there's 3 sections to this particular flow. The first one being the creation of the video through the File.ai API. The key aspect here is you want to insert the prompt such that we can create the video. And I think to notice that the duration of all videos will be by default 8 seconds. It's just how the API is configured. Then you're going to wait for 5 minutes. You can adjust this, but I do recommend 5 minutes. And then lastly, we're going to post to YouTube. So let's get going. The flow is quite simple. We start off with a form. I do recommend a form because that's like an easy way of you just configuring the text that you want to pass on. You have a text area in which you describe, things such as an area scene on a lake on the high Nevada desert, right? Or whatever you would like to talk about. The video style here is rather the option for you to narrow down the particular video style, right? So there's dialogue, monologue, advertisement, and documentary. Those 4 video styles are the most popular and best performing according to my research. And, you can just look online as well. And the reason being is that a lot of Veo3 data has been generated based on YouTube that is abundant in these categories, right? And we have then our aspect ratio. So if you want to be widescreen or shorts or square, you choose it here. And lastly, you have video category. So all these are the categories that you're required to choose when you submit a video on YouTube, right? And this is something you should choose, and it's required such that it can guide the creation of this video. Then we have a G sheet over here. All we do here is fetch the prompts. The prompts, as you can see, are defined according to the category that I mentioned earlier. So it can be advertisement, documentary, monologue, and dialogue. And I've done it such that we can have a more optimal performance when we generate videos. And it's quite necessary, actually. Then we have the videography, and this just takes in the information we've submitted and the prompt that matches the particular video category that we want to talk about. And then we have the File.ai request. So in this case, we have a post call to this URL, and it's done by passing the authorization down here. So the API key that you would generate, you would pass it here in this format by having authorization as the name and key space the API key. The JSON body is needed because we're passing here the prompt that's generated from the earlier step, the AI call, and the aspect ratio that we configured earlier in our input form. And lastly, we're just going to be storing this information for future reference, right? You're going to have the request URL, which is the URL you can click on later on to access the video that was made, the date we requested it at, for bookkeeping, and then lastly the prompt, such that you can just test it maybe even across other AI video generating platforms. The middle step here is waiting, and it's 5 minutes just because it takes at least 3 minutes usually to generate the video, sometimes even up to 4. Then lastly, we're going to be posting on YouTube, and we're going to be doing this with the help of another AI call. The AI call here, what it does is it receives the category that we're talking about, right? So if it's, let's say, education or travel and such. And over here, this prompt, what it does is it generates the following information for us. The title, and it's going to be less than 6 words. The shorter, the better usually. You don't want to have too many words. And the description, the tags, and ultimately the category, right? And a bit of a pro tip here such that it can save, time and also headaches. You want to retry and fail, and recommend you do 2 tries and for 3000 milliseconds, which is the max. Then we also have a structured output parser, and here we just give an example. That's it. Just generate from this JSON example a typical output. This is the simplest way to configure your output. And the keywords here is just like a JSON code because we get them in an array that's vertical, and you want to put them in an array, a list that is flat. And this is done here, okay? We have 2 HTTP requests in series. The first one, what it does is it fetches the video credentials. It's going to get back a JSON body that's going to say this is the URL from which we then need to download the actual video. And that's what we do. We pass in this URL and we're going to get a file in return. We're going to call it data. We're going to pass it to this YouTube node, which we have already authenticated with. And I've done it through my account. I have a video right after this clip where I show you how you would do the authentication. And then we choose the uploading operation and we pass in the credentials from the AI call earlier. And the input binary field is data. And that's crucial that you name it data as you did from the prior step. Otherwise, it won't recognize the binary data. And also make sure it's embeddable because that will allow you to be more often recommended. And that was it. Let's go ahead and run the workflow. You're going to have to go to console.cloud.google.com, and then eventually once you log in, you have to go to APIs and services. So over here, this is like your way of essentially configuring a access point for your external applications to Google. So we're going to go to credentials. And here you're going to see already I've made this credential specifically in YouTube. And let's just go ahead through the exercise of creating the credentials again. So I'm going to create an OAuth client ID. And it's quite simple after this. Essentially, they're just asking the application type. We're using a web app. And you're going to go ahead and just name it. So like, test N8N creds. And we're going to need to add an authorized JavaScript origin, which means like, where does this request come from? What's the address that it's coming from? And I added my origin, and now we need to add a redirect. And this is the same across the board for everybody. This is basically such that once you do get the information you want from, in our case, YouTube, you're going to be redirecting this information to another address, right? Which is OAuth's address. And great. So here we have some credentials. Again, I'm just showing you what it looks like, but I'm going to be deleting this because, otherwise somebody with malicious intent is going to just rack up charges against me. So we're going to go ahead and take the client ID, copy it, paste it in here, and do the same thing for the client secret. And then we're going to do save. So sign in with Google, and then I allow these services. Great, so the connection was successful. You can see it over here. So we're going to test the workflow, and we're going to insert a prompt in which I'm saying an elderly woman crossing the marathon finish line and screaming impossible is nothing with the Adidas logo fading in and out in the last seconds of the video. And we're going to make this an advertisement, 16:9, and sports is the video category. So let's submit. And it's going through, it's fetching the prompt, going through the videography generation, made the file.ai request, and it stored the data in the sheet, and now we wait for 5 minutes. Okay, and as we can see, the flow is completed. We have waited 5 minutes, and then we posted on YouTube, and we can see over here the link, particularly the ID. Now, we can copy it and go straight to YouTube. Okay, let's check it out.
Impossible is
Okay, so this is an amazing logo to end with. Like, they did a great job in that. The cadence of speech is a bit off. And there's also this weird scene where you can see, she's basically kind of regenerated or respawned. She's right here. Let's see. We have some rendering issues. Right there, you see she finishes and she gets in front of the line. And also you can see that the number here, her tag is not accurate. But I mean, it can pass as realistic if it weren't for those little miscues. Overall, I'm quite impressed. And for those wondering what it looks like on the file.ai side, right here is the video. And there was another one earlier, so let's just, out of curiosity, check it out. So just click on playground, have that sound on. Wow! I love that.
impossible is nothing.
Damn, that's even better actually. So I have to say that overall, okay, so this was an 8-second video, it cost me $6. but 1 and 2 is so usually. So you're going to end up spending about $12 per attempt for a successful attempt. It may even be $18 sometimes. So yeah, have fun.